Okay, we are continuing. My name is Jamal Ashraf. We are continuing chapter 4. This is the third part of it. We're going to be talking about static methods. We're going to talk about the user input, how we're going to read the input from the user. And then we're going to talk more about formatting the output. All right. So one thing that I talked a little earlier, and we want to talk about it again, is about the static methods. So we know there is a square root somewhere, and we need to use it. And we know that Java is object-oriented language, and everything is in object. So how do I use a square root? I cannot apply it to a 2 if I want to do a square root of 2, because 2 is not an object, and it doesn't have the square root as a method. So the way that Java is handling this is to have a public static variable inside a class that we can call it anywhere. So we're going to put the name of the class, and this method has been declared as a public static. That's why we can call it from outside of it, and then we can use it. However, it's declared. The comments in there is going to tell us how to use it. Okay, how do we ask user for the input? So when we're writing program, a lot of times we want to have interactive programs, meaning that we want to talk to the user. We want to ask some information from the user because we don't know. Let's say I want to do something with the age. So I'm going to ask the user, what's your age or what's your name? So for that, we gotta remember, display something for the user to understand what is it that I'm asking. Am I asking for a name? Am I asking for an age? So we're going to have a prompt to display what is it that we are asking for. And then your book is suggesting not to use println, so everything is going to be on the same line. So it's going to print this, and it's going to stay right here for the user to put the input instead of the next line. So we want to leave some space over here because we don't want the user put the stuff next to this. We are thinking about user-friendly programs. So we need some objects. And the objects are coming in different areas, from different areas. So first minimum, we need the system.in. And then we need the scanner to read the keyboard. So we are using 2 objects. So we can put the system.in inside the scanner, so we can do it in one line. We're going to create an object of a scanner with the system in, which is the keyboard. Now we're going to use the method available in scanner, which is we are using dot operator to call the method that's available in that object. So we created the object, we call it in, or we want to call it something better naming than that. The next int is going to wait for the user to push enter, and it's going to read the first integer value. So we need the import for this. So we have to import the scanner to our program. Excuse me. So we can use next double for the double numbers. Some of you are going to have this question that what about if we want double and the user put int, or we want int and the user put double? We will address these things soon. Right now, we are assuming if you are asking for integer, it's going to be integer. If it's double, it's going to be double till we talk more about it later. So we're going to put something like this, system.out.print enterprise, and then we're going to be reading the price as a double. So we're going to have next double is going to read our double number. So we need to import on the top of our program to be able to use the scanner. We're going to create the object scanner, and we need to create it with the keyboard, which is system.in. We display a prompt to the user. What is it that we are asking them to enter? And then we're going to define a variable to hold whatever the user is entering. Do not use println because we want to have everything in one line to make it nice and clean. Program is going to wait for the user to type in something and push enter. Okay, so whenever we printing something on a screen or later on we learn to do file, we want to use formatting, meaning that we want to line them up. So for example, if I have a price, price in double, it can have a lot of numbers in the precision. I don't want to write price per liter 1.22385367345, whatever it is in it. I just want to display 2-digit. Or I want to put some spaces over here between these two. So if I just print it, this is the words I'm going to get. Now we want to format it. We're going to go over formatting. So one way of formatting, we are putting a % here inside the double quote, and we're going to put 0.2 as just 2 decimal point, and we're going to say it's a floating point. We're going to use a comma here, and then we're going to put the variable that we want to print right here. So our price, which was this one right here, is going to round out here because it's 5.9. It's going to be rounding up, so it's going to become 122, and it's going to print right here. Now, I can put this one with some other stuff in it. So I can have some wording here, put the % and the decimal point and the float. And this doesn't have to be at the end. It can be right here in the middle. It can be at the beginning. It can be anywhere. So but it has to match with this. So I have one variable here. I'm going to have one F over here. So this number right here is going to tell me the total space I'm going to be using. Total space means the decimal point and the decimal digits that I want to use. So if I have 10, I'm going to use 10 spaces for the whole thing. So 3 is going to be used here. I'm going to have 7 for my number. So if it's going to be 1 up to 7, it's going to be printed over here. And this way, they are going to be lining up after each other. So I can put some wording here. I'm going to put %10.2 F price. That means when I print, I'm going to have 6 spaces plus 1, that's going to give me 7, and then 8, 9, 10. Now, I could have potentially have some manual space over here that would be added to here. I could have some spaces right here. I can put some wording over here. So those can be added after 2. Generally, we don't put this in the middle of the text, but if you want, you can do that too. So the reason that we want to use printf is we want to organize the stuff. So especially when we're using the column and we have multiple things that we want to put in there, we don't want it to be all over the place. We want it to be all lined up. Okay. So %d, I call it digit so I don't remember it, is for integer. So %d is just going to print a number. %5d, what do you think it's going to do? %5d is going to give me 5 spaces. So if I have 24, it's going to deduct 2 from 5. It's going to be 3 spaces plus 24. So I have quality %5d. So it's going to give me total of 5 spaces for my integer. %f, it doesn't have no formatting. It's just going to put whatever double decimal number I have. If I put 0.2, it's going to give me 2 decimal points. If I have a 7.2, the whole thing is going to be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. %s is going to give me a string. I can use negative to be left justified if I want to. I can put more than one thing in there. So I can have my string, I can have my integer, I can have my double, and I can have multiple of them in any order. So I can put quality %d, total %10.2, and then I have 2 of them. The first one goes to the first one, second one goes to the second. So 10 is for the whole thing. And most common mistake is people think 10 is right here, but 10 is going to contain the decimal point and number of decimal digits that we want. So, question. Why is it starting over here instead of starting right here? So it's counting 10 from this point, not this point. The reason for that is I have manual space over here. So this manual space is this one right here. I don't have to have it, but if I have it, it's going to show up over here. Okay, so we have this program for volume. Where is my volume? Okay, so this program, you can practice on it. Remember, you have the code for the book. So we can read a double for 6-pack. We can read a double for 2-liter. And then we are defining our, remember, we are not going to put any number by themselves. It's going to be final. That means it's going to be used only in this area. And if I want it to be used somewhere else or some more methods, then I would have a static, public static. So we're defining that we have 6 cans per pack, and you can see very descriptive names that we are using here to be easier to follow. And also it is all uppercase. We have the can volume and we have the bottle volume. So we're going to use those to be able to do our calculation to see which one is more cost effective. So if I run this, I paid attention how much is the 6-pack or 2-liter these days. So I'm just going to randomly put some number in there. So it's going to give me the pack per liter is 1.76. Bottle per liter is 175. So if I buy a 6-pack or I buy a bottle, just 1 cent different, not a big, huge thing. So we have some self-check. Get a piece of paper to write these things down. And I'm asking you guys to turn it in as an activity. So if you need more time, pause it, think about it, and you will have it in the activity in our module. So we're going to be writing a prompt for and read the user age using a scanner variable named in. So we're going to ask the user, what's your age? And you're going to read the age of the user. Next is, what is wrong with the following statement sequence? Again, push the pause, think about it. Why is it anything wrong with this? What is the problematic about the following statement sequence? So what can cause problem here? What about this one? What's the problem with this one? So again, you can push the pause, or you can go to the module and get the activity. I suggest you do the activity right after you watch the video. That way you can think how much of this you absorb, and you might want to go back and watch it again in certain area, or you want to take a look at your book to come up with some of these things. So if I print the 10 using these, first, what is coming out, and what is the between is and 10? Between this one and when the 10 is printed, how many spaces you're going to have? Write it down so we can work on it. So we want to do this, we want to line them up on the right side. Remember, you can do %s to print these things to have some kind of, see, the problem with this is what? You have spaces here are not the same as spaces over here. But if you use your %s for formatting, you can set both of them to have this much spaces. So the next one is going to, excuse me, start over here and start over here. So think about it, see how you're going to do it, and we talk about it in class. All right, so that's going to conclude this part.